So I would like to go ahead and start today's activities. First and foremost, I want to take a moment to thank everybody that's joined us today. Thank you for signing up for the event. I'm going to do some brief introductions. I would like to go ahead and set the foundation and the agenda of our webinar this afternoon, and then kind of explain how we like to do our webinars, which is a little different than what you're probably used to. So for those that don't know me, my name is Travis Burris. I'm the VP of Global Channels and Alliances here at NUWAVE. And then my co-presenter this afternoon is Mr. Sergio, and I'm going to say this incorrectly, Santos. I said it right. He is head over customer success at ClerkChat. He's going to be the primary today. He's going to talk very highly of the product, high level, and so forth. So we're really, what our goal is today, guys, is our goal with our partnership that we're very excited about for some time now with ClerkChat is really to help the channel drive additional revenue within the organization. We've added an extremely exciting new solution within the iPILOT portal, both on whatever partner level that you might be, from an agent to reseller to distribution and et cetera. So our goal is to try to educate. We're not here to sell you anything, but we are here to educate you on how we can increase your productivity, your profitability based on our partnership. Now, the approach that we like to take here is a little different. We don't have to wait till the very end, guys. If you have questions, please drop them into the Q&A or the chat windows. So I'm not going to wait until the very end and say, hey, what are the questions? I will be monitoring those questions. And then when we have a lull, as Sergio is doing a brilliant presentation for us this afternoon, I will then ask to go ahead and address those, and then we'll continue to move forward. So we really want to be interactive, guys. If you have questions, please ask them. Don't be afraid to be the first to ask. So that's pretty much our goal today. So on that note, once again, thank you for joining us. And I'm going to turn it over to Sergio, if you're good with that. You might be on mute just in case. And then we'll go from there, guys. But once again, appreciate the time. Thank you, Sergio.
Thank you, Travis. Appreciate that. Great intro. Hey, everyone. Thanks for being here. I am Sergio with ClerkChat. I head up our customer success team, and I'm really excited. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I'm really excited to share with you today some of the really interesting things that I'm pretty sure you'll be interested in that we've been working on here at ClerkChat. I assume everyone can see my screen. I think so. Yes, perfect. And action. Great. Okay. Perfect. So you might be familiar with ClerkChat because we've been partners with NUWAVE for quite a while with regards to our core product, if you will, the business messaging aspect of ClerkChat. But we'll kind of go over that and kind of give everyone a revisit on that. But then we also want to talk about what we've really been focused on in the past, short while actually, which is around the latest innovations in business messaging, which is using AI, of course, but also RCS, which we'll talk about that. Two very, very innovative, very moving fast technologies that we all know about AI. I'm not sure if we all know about RCS, but it'll be my job here to show you it. Okay, so really quickly on ClerkChat, we are a young company, but we are a fast-moving, innovative, very fast-moving company. We were founded in San Francisco in 2022, just a few years ago. Great leadership team. We have 3 founders, which I find is always great for how a company operates, with some great pedigree there from Netflix and Lucasfilm. We are in the process of closing our Series A financing, which is fantastic, which is going to only take us to the next level. We've already been growing significantly and doing some pretty great things, but this is going to really turbo boost our progress here. And then we've been established leaders in business messaging for quite a while since we launched. And then now with the foray into RCS and AI, we're really cementing ourselves as kind of the business messaging leader in this space.
And Sergio, if you don't mind me, real quick, if you don't mind. And I want to go back to the slide. So the great thing about the channel environment, and for those that have worked with us or now becoming partners with NUWAVE, we've kind of done your due diligence for you, right? So we vetted out the products. We have the strong partnerships. We have it integrated into our marketplace within the iPILOT portal instance. So, for those that have worked with us for many years or maybe only a couple weeks, we always, as NUWAVE, will do our own vetting process to ensure that we as NUWAVE are delivering the product that's going to meet the demands for the marketplace, but also the partnership. So sorry about that, Sergio, but I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on that as well. So thank you for that overview.
Great point. And by all means, Travis, jump in whenever it makes sense.
Oh, I will.
You're just so polite about it.
I know.
Okay, so let's go over the kind of the business messaging, which has been our foundational product since we started as a business. If you look at kind of the panel there, it's a screenshot of our platform. It's within the Teams environment. As you can see, you have the Teams environment in the bar, and then our app just kind of fits nicely in there. It also fits nicely in WebEx and Zoom, and we have our own web app and mobile apps as well. But effectively, if any customer, any enterprise, any business that wanted to send messaging to customers on a business level, right? So you're not using your personal phones, you have to go through a platform like ours. There's a whole process to it. And so we've been really good at that process and really good at supporting those businesses for quite some time. Again, that's just through basic SMS messaging integrated with voice calling. So why ClerkChat kind of embeds in Microsoft is because of that voice calling integration. So you do your voice calling through Teams or WebEx or Zoom, and then you do your SMS messaging through ClerkChat. And in that sense, you have both of those channels, those critical channels at your fingertips in one environment, which is kind of what has been our bread and butter for quite some time. In terms of, and why SMS messaging, please.
And also, Sergio, I want to elaborate a little bit, and that's great, right? It's a single solution, it's a single environment. We're already accustomed to the platforms that we're utilizing. But another great thing when we talk about a single number assignment as well, right? So, when you're using us as the global carrier behind the platforms, you're not assigned a secondary DID to support the SMS MM application, right? You're using your NUWAVE DID based on that single environment, that single number association within the office environment as well, which I think is key.
That's exactly right. We're basically tacking on business messaging to your existing voice over IP numbers.
Absolutely.
Yep. Okay, great. So then in terms of key features, well, actually, I keep forgetting that slide's in here. Sorry, we'll get to that. So in terms of why SMS and why it's so important for business messaging, it's, as we all know, we're all on our phones. That's where we want to talk. It's where we want to engage. Email is kind of a thing of the past. Engagement rates on SMS are much, much higher. I don't have to read each of these little stats here for you, but I think we all understand that SMS is a hypercritical channel for businesses to meet their customers where they want to be engaged with. So it only makes sense. And that's why our business has done so well for the past few years. Key features in terms of the SMS piece of the platform, of course, one-to-one messaging and also group messaging if there's a use case for that. Message templates. So if your team is constantly being asked a certain question over and over, you can create templates that kind of auto-respond by just clicking on that template and sending it that way. You can import and integrate all your contacts, whether that's through a CRM that exists or whether you upload a CSV, API. The fact is, with all your contacts, you can bring them in, and then that way it's kind of a seamless communication consistency across all your other platforms where your contacts exist. And then a really used feature is our campaigns. So, obviously SMS is typically one-to-one, you're messaging someone directly. Campaigns is where you're going to message a ton of people. Maybe it's dozens, maybe it's hundreds, maybe it's thousands, maybe it's more than that. But the idea is that you're going to use an SMS for that in various use cases, as you can imagine, promotional, volunteer coordination, leads. There's a lot of reasons why folks use our campaign feature, but it is one of our most used features, I'd say. We have a lot of integrations. Our integration page is it's like a constant scroll. But Salesforce, HubSpot Dynamics for your CRMs, lots of archival options, just to be primarily to be kind of in tune with compliance as well, and then other just miscellaneous integrations from Zendesk to Outlook, Tenet, and so forth. So we're really heavy on integrations, and it's interesting. You might ask why I put eFax on here. We kind of released this. There was one customer that was interested in it, so we put it together. And it's now, believe it or not, one of our, I wouldn't say one of our most popular products, but way more popular than we expected. So if you do need eFax, we have that also. Good deal. So a few use cases. I won't read everything, but I'll just give you these. I'm intimately aware with these customers. LA Rams, they use us for both on-site sales, not on-site, but a lot of times they are on-site during games, sales and also club services. So basically, if they use SMS for selling season tickets on the sales side, and then on the club services side, if you're a season ticket holder and you're in a stadium, they want to be in communication with you. They want to make sure you're having a great experience. So they actually on-site do a lot of SMS messaging with their customers that way. JB Hunt, huge customer for us. They use us exclusively for internal logistics. They have tens of thousands of drivers all across this country. And I think Canada too, where they consistently use SMS to let those drivers know, the status of things, what schedules they're on. The drivers reach out and ask the administrators questions that they respond to. So it's a full logistical internal operations use case, which is pretty robust, honestly. Make-A-Wish, great partner. They use us for volunteer communications, so existing volunteers, but also to recruit new volunteers. So they use us quite heavily. They use campaigns a lot, and it's a very substantial integration with them across 58 different chapters across the U.S. And the Little Gem, very exciting. This was one of our first AI solutions we had mid last year, AI implementations. And they're great. We're going to talk a bit about them later when we get to the AI portion, but they effectively use us. They're gyms, they're franchise gyms across the US where they have a lot of gym instructors in that gym who are there to instruct, but they found that it was really hard for them to break away from the instructions and answer the phones and manage bookings and reschedulings and all the administrative stuff. So they decided that AI was a solution for them, and they are now flourishing, and their instructors are so happy not having to answer phones because of the AI implementation we put together for them.
And Sergio, what we're going to do, and I want to bring this up real quick, which I don't know if you're aware of, but for our channel, right? So, we talk a lot about different vertical markets, and our channel asks us, where do we really excel? Well, for those that know me, I'm a seat guy. I don't care if it's manufacturing or higher ed. I want seats. But we have done very well in higher ed and financial and so forth. But what we're doing is NUWAVE to be very proactive for the channel and to support our partnership with ClerkChat. Is we are in the process, a couple of our sales directors have done very well within their channel community on selling this application. And when I say this, I'm talking thousands and thousands of users under a single office environment. So for the channel that's on the call today and new or existing or prospecting, we are in the process of working up new case studies this coming year for our 2026 campaign based on the different alliance partnerships, i.e. ClerkChat. Your sales directors will keep you updated on those when those are available. We'll make sure that they're in Academy, but we want to enhance what Sergio just brought to the table based on the net new logos that we're reviewing this afternoon.
There you go. Good stuff. Okay, so I want to, we've talked about SMS messaging, and that's kind of a foundational product for us, but now I want to take it a little bit higher level and talk about conversations. We know, I think we all would agree in the right context, that conversations really are the future of customer strategy. Even ourselves, like when we talk to AI, or when we want, if you can think back of the last time you had a good customer experience, let's say you called a customer support line, the best experience is when you reach a human or somebody who's actually having a conversation with you, right? And you have that conversation, you tell them what you're looking for, what you need, and they help you, and it's a great experience. Thanks so much for your help. Really appreciate it. Have a great day, right? That's what we all want. That's where we thrive. That's where great customer engagement happens. So I want to kind of start as that kind of that principle as we go into the rest of this presentation, which is around AI and RCS, because we do believe conversations, especially personalized contextual conversations, are the future of customer strategies for businesses. So with that in mind, let's talk about RCS. You may be aware of what it is. Oh, there it is. It's rich communication services. It's basically the next generation of SMS messaging. You may have received one. Sometime it's been taking off in the past few months a lot. Maybe your bank, or maybe from Clerk Chat. It looks something like this. The Rams were the first to use our RCS messaging service early last year, and they've been using the heck out of it. But as you can see, it's branded. So there's a lot of trust there because it comes in branded. And if you click on this, you can actually learn more about the brand. So instantly it's verified and there's trust there. There's image carousels that you can see in that. There's video you can put in that. There's text. And then there's engaging buttons that you can put in here as well. So when you click on a button, it can open a URL, it can dial a number, it can trigger an agent, add events to calendar, view location. And so that's all amazing. I mean, like I said, it's literally the next level of SMS. If you've ever used WhatsApp already has this. So this is basically Google and Apple kind of catching up to what they're doing on the business messaging side to be able to allow for these types of interactive, rich media messages versus kind of the strictly text-based SMS messaging. What's really cool also is when these come through, if they're set up the same way, if they're set up for it, they can be conversational. So you can actually, once this comes through, you can actually respond and have a conversation through this RCS channel with an AI agent. And just to show you, this is when I recorded yesterday, but here's a Make-A-Wish. So you can see it comes in, it's branded. You click on that brand, you see some information about that brand, you see what it's about, and then the RCS message comes in. You have some images, you kind of carousel through them, if you will, and then you can click on those buttons, and you can get taken to a different experience. And then again, if I would have asked that agent that RCS message a question, it would respond, and I could have a whole conversation there. I'll just put this up really quickly. We have an example of an RCS widget on our site. Let me just go to that really quick. If folks, I'll just leave it up for a second. But basically, this is our chatbot version. So if there's just our chatbot here, instead of having that web-only chatbot, which we always felt is kind of clunky, like let's say you start a chat on a web-based chatbot here on the web. We all know the experience, right? It's like we're trying to talk to somebody or trying to find an answer, but we're also like doing other things in different tabs, and we lose the tab, and it's just you can't take it with you. It's just there. You have to log on. If you accidentally close that tab, you're done for. So what this is our version of an RCS chatbot, and basically you scan this with your phone. Feel free to do it now if you like, and you will push a button, and you will receive an RCS message. You can interact with it. You can ask it questions. And you can see, just to give you a real world example of what that RCS messaging looks like. I'll leave it up here for one more second. Anyone who wants to grab it? And if not, literally, I don't know if you saw what I did. Just go to our website, Clerk.chat, click on this little button here. It's right there for you.
And hey, guys, I can vouch for Sergio. It works. I'm just saying.
Yeah. It does work. It works.
It does work.
Yeah. So that's RCS. And again, this is a fundamental shift in how messaging happens. And you're going to see a lot more of that. If you haven't already, RCS is the future of messaging. Absolutely. So that's one piece of it. I wanted to cover that. But now I wanted to go into AI voice and messaging. So this is where we've really leaned into this. This is absolutely the future of business messaging and business conversation. So we're seeing some really strong progress just from launching this Q3 of last year. Already having some, I don't want to disclose anything, but like really strong progress, and only more to come. But let's cover the messaging part of it first. So, and then we'll cover voice. So messaging is pretty straightforward. Imagine if you can kind of see this little workflow. If you ever created an agent workflow, you have a trigger, a message comes in, you have a next action, you train the AI agent to be an expert in some field or so, or just give it all the information it needs, give it a prompt, give it a bunch of knowledge information, a bunch of documents, anything you have so it can train itself on what you want it to talk about. And then it kind of just responds and answers questions through SMS, and when it's needed, it can escalate to different avenues, maybe to a voice call or what have you. But this is what it kind of looks like when you set it up, and it's pretty straightforward on the messaging side. You can handle basic things like, you can see the questions here. Are you open today? Can I schedule a service? What's my order status? Do you take insurance? And all that can happen through SMS messaging via AI. So that's another layer. So that's basically our core product, what we talked about, business messaging, but with an AI twist to it, right? Adding some efficiencies and optimizations, making it more scalable. But where it all kind of really comes together is AI voice. And this is where we're putting a lot of investment in, and this is what we truly think is the future of this industry. But in all truth, in reality for this year and moving forward, AI really is a must-have for your customer strategy. It's folks don't want to hold anymore. They want instant answers. We all do. In this brave new world, we all just kind of want things when we want them. We don't want to deal with menus, dial one for this, and then wait for somebody who may or may not have your answer because you're not trained well enough. It's just an antiquated system that AI is solving very quickly. And on top of that, what's really cool is the notion of switching channels. And this is going to be a recurring thread, is the fact that now we're talking about SMS, we're talking about RCS, we're talking about voice, and now we're with AI, all those channels work together, and there's a constant story, there's a constant knowledge about the customer. What do they reach out in SMS, voice? Let's say, for example, what I'm trying to say is, let's say you call in on the voice line, you have a conversation, great. Let's say a week later, you send an SMS to that same company. They're gonna know everything that was talked about on that voice call and be able to pick up where you left off and go from there. And same thing for RCS. So it's all intertwined. It's all these different messaging channels working together to have this seamless, integrated, personalized, contextual experience that really is the future of how businesses interact with customers.
Sergio, what I'm looking at, and I'm learning stuff today, and thank you, Sergio. I appreciate that. This is
Yeah.
awesome. Now you got my mind thinking about all sorts of stuff for the channel. But based on that, I think another thing that we really enjoy working with you guys about, because now I'm seeing what you're doing here, is really the forward-thinking process of what is next. What can we do? What boundaries can we press, right? And obviously our channel understands that now they're understanding of this. But I'm looking, and I'm making notes, mental notes. But this is forward-thinking right here. This is really good stuff that, once again, and I'm going to say this again, and I'm going to put my sales hat on real quick, is if our channel, the channel that's on the call today, is not actively pursuing these opportunities because they're already in these opportunities, guys, we are leaving money on the table. And once again, that forward thinking, the enhancements, the product portfolio enhancements, guys, we should be thinking about this type of stuff on every single business opportunity. We relate. I use the word vertical markets. I see this SMS, MMS for any type of business model. You talk about the Rams. You've probably already thought about this, Sergio, but that's going to be my new vertical. I'm going down after the NFL. And then I'm going to throw something out there. One of our colleagues here at the organization, his daughter was just hired by the Rams, so that's even better, right? So, but yeah, so this is really good stuff, Sergio, and thank you for educating me as well, because this is brilliant. You're putting things in my head, so.
Yeah, this is the future. Yeah. And to your point, Travis, so the alternative, like what happens if you don't do this, right? Well, you're going to get left behind, because we all know this is where it's going. I hope that as I kind of describe kind of this experience and how the customer would experience these different communication channels in a very effective, very efficient way, we can all kind of agree that, yes, that's what I want. That's what we all want. So if businesses don't do this, what happens? So they get left behind. They're stuck with those antiquated IVR menus, right? So IVR menus are when you call, say, press 1 for this, press 2 for that, press 3 for that. That's going away. Like everything's going to be conversational. You call a number and they say, hey, this is business X. How can I help you? Oh, I'm having a billing issue. Oh, I'm having a hiring issue. Oh, I have a technical issue. Whatever it is, it doesn't need to be a menu. Just say, the person just says what it is, and they're instantly routed to the right kind of conversation for that situation. So that's where it's going. And then of course the notion of burned out agents, trying to field too many calls, missed messages, lower conversions, and then all leads to customers quietly leaving, right? This is where scale happens. Businesses have been trying to do this well with as small team as they could, for years, and it's worked okay. But now that AI is here, this is where it's all going. It's all going to scale very efficiently.
Well, and Sergio, and also I look at it like this, and you can keep me honest if this is not a business concept that you're thinking, but I'm looking at this technology and what we deliver, what you're delivering. This is working smarter. This isn't working harder, right? It's interactive intelligence that we should be utilizing to better communications for any type of company, and this is what companies are looking for. And this is perfect. This is great.
I mean, to your point, Travis, imagine like let's say you're in a call center, you hire one new person. You have to train that person. It's going to take weeks, months. It's going to take, and then boom, you have one new person. All that work gets you one new rep. Versus you get AI on board, you train them once, you don't have to you just give them a bunch of documents. Hey, train yourself, do all this, and then you just hired an entire team, or you have many, whatever it works for you, and they're there. They're trained permanently, and they just need to be, given some tweaks here and there. It's just such a different ballgame these days when it comes to, scaling in that sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's a great point, and I'm gonna steal that from him and put it in one of our presentational slides. So
there you go. So what changes? So we talked about kind of, why it should happen, but what is the experience? What actually changes when you incorporate AI voice 24/7, right? Instantly, you're 24/7. There's no off hours. There's no auto responses during off hours. You're 24/7. Calls get answered instantly. No cues, no hold, no music. Hey, this is Business X. How can I help you? And you're off and running, right? And again, conversations, not menus, all about conversations. We all know, when we go to our chat GPT or our cloud, we're all having conversations now. And honestly, me personally, I'm getting bored of typing with chat GPT. Now I just kind of, hit that speak button. I'm just talking to it. We all want that. We're all going into this conversational mode. And we're talking about inbound a lot, but outbound, we're using outbound very heavily as well. We have a number of use cases for outbound. So imagine, your leads come in and you have your sales folks who are kind of sitting on them or not acting fast right away. You have an AI call, a very pleasant AI experience where they qualify that lead and then provide more or gather more information and then pass it off to a sales rep. So outbound is a huge part of this as well. I'll go through a few more here. Obviously, it handles complex questions and issues with ease. And then, what I want to make clear is I'm not saying obviously that humans shouldn't be a part of this whatsoever. I mean, we're quite a ways from that. But what's really cool is the AI will do a lot of the triage or the information gathering and create that instant pleasant experience where the call gets answered right away, answer a few questions. But at any point, whether it's through the workflow when the time's right, or whether the customer asks for an escalation, it can be routed to a human, of course. So, don't get me wrong. At this point, there's always humans that need to be involved for the most part. And then, like I said, keeps context across every interaction. So whether it's through voice, SMS, RCS, we're always going to have that history. We're always going to have that context to be able to pick up where we left off, or just know that person, right? Oh, how did it go last month when you reached out about this? Or, and so forth. So there's always that level of personalization that hasn't happened before. And then what's really cool is we have analytics around sentiment and summaries and transcriptions. Well, that's not analytics, but we have a lot of performance analytics for our solution. But the one that I love the most is sentiment, where literally after a call, during a call, actually, you will see the sentiment of that conversation, whether it was negative, positive, or neutral, and then you'll get context around why that sentiment was captured. You'll also get real-time summaries and then transcriptions of those conversations as well. They all get pushed to your CRM, wherever you need them. It's all there. So you always have this constant watchful insight into how these conversations are happening. Yeah. And
very impressive. Yeah.
We can even do this now if you want, but here's a number. If you want to try ClerkChat's AI voice solution, her name's Alice. She's wonderful. Feel free to give her a call.
I just met her.
Okay.
She's very nice. Hi there. I'm Alice, your AI assistant from ClerkChat. So
there you go. Yeah. So feel free to, it's also on our website. Feel free to give it a call just to understand. And here's the cool thing. You can have that conversation. You can talk about anything you want. You can have fun with it. That said, Alice has a job, which is to, bring more business to ClerkChat. So she'll always kind of bring you back to the ClerkChat conversation. But that's what's cool about the experience. Is like, when you're talking to another human, you kind of have to, have a certain level of decorum. You're talking to AI, you can have fun and just, and have whatever conversation that makes sense for you. But ultimately, it'll be around, why you called in. So that's fun.
Very nice.
Okay. And then here's the process, just so you're aware, if anyone ever asks. But basically, when we get a new customer, lots of discovery and planning, asking, what are your problem points, how we're going to solve those and kind of create those pathways. And then really importantly, obviously, is knowledge gathering and prompt design. So we have solutions engineers that handle all that. They're just going to rely on the customer to gather up all the documents, all the PDFs, anything that is relevant to train our agents, and then kind of put together that level of knowledge for them to be able to have those conversations productively. Of course, you can always add and kind of tweak that knowledge, but that's something is obviously quite important for the process. We set up your integrations, your CRM, your marketing platform, wherever things need to happen, information needs to get sent, things need to get triggered. We set those up. We highly recommend launching a pilot first. Maybe it's one of the smaller channels, maybe it's a small level of volume. We learn from that, we optimize, we make tweaks, and then once we're ready, we go to production with the full thing. And then from there, you update as needed. As you get new information or change information, we just log in with you and make those updates. And it's not like, so, what's interesting is when there's change management across an entire team, like that's a pretty big effort, right? Change management for your AI agent, it's just like, oh, here's some new information. Thanks. Please incorporate that now, and you're done. It's literally like minutes worth of implementation. So there's another scale factor for you.
Perfect.
And then bring it all together. Oh, no, I missed out. I did want to go over one thing. Oh, this is measured integration in terms of, something we always tell our customers is to start small. And I highly recommend going into AI. It can be a little bit overwhelming, right? There's a lot to it. Folks may not feel prepared, but it's all about start small and go from there, right? Give us a simple triage scenario where the agent answers the call and quickly disperses it to where it needs to go. Let the agent handle off hours for a little while, see how that goes, or just start with the low volume line and go from there. That always really kind of puts people's guard down in terms of like the level, the scope of what it means to go towards an AI situation. And the one thing I wanted to call out is in terms of positioning, this is kind of how we approach this. So I wanted to kind of leave this with you as my last slide here, and then we'll open up for any questions. But there's a level of FOMO, right? Everyone knows they should be using AI. Every business knows it, whether they're doing it yet or not. They know they should be using it, and more, as each day goes by, they know should be using it more and more and more and more. So these conversations are easy to have, just to be able to say, at the very least, any person who's running a business should be open to the conversation to understand what's out there, right? So that's easy enough. And then what we tend to like say a lot is like, hey, to the stakeholders that we talk to, hey, like make a name for yourself. Like this is if you take this on and this works out well, which it will, you're going to develop your own personal brand, right? You're going to drive the innovation within your organization and really make a name for yourself, which is, which tends to land pretty well. I think we all want to do that in a lot of our life here. And then there's this trust factor. So we're a San Francisco-based startup. We're moving fast. And what's really cool about us is we started with the telephony side first, with the SMS, with the voice calling, and that's our foundation. And we put the AI on top of that. We do have some competitors in this space where they're starting with AI and they're kind of building backwards. So their backend isn't as polished up as ours. We're doing it kind of the right way, if you will. And that's to kind of start with the basics, and then we build AI on top of that. And then again, start small. And then what's really great about us is that we have a very consultative approach. We know that this is a big deal. We know that it's a lot. And so we're there to hold everyone's hand and provide that really high level of white glove support to make sure that it's a great experience, not just for the end customer, but also for the folks that we've partnered with, and make sure that they understand and have a good perspective into how it all works. And that's it.
And to that point, I want to elaborate a little bit more on that, and then we'll open it up for questions. But what we've also done on behalf of working with ClerkChat, we as NUWAVE have developed, we're going to call it a proof of value, a POV. And so with this type of environment, we can under our partnership agreements, it doesn't matter, like the agent community reseller and so forth, we're able to provide a no cost association for a 30-day proof of value, a POV. For our opportunities. And then, if it makes business sense, we do this now on our voice side. If it makes business sense, then we can move that into a production product. And so I want to leave the meeting as follows is, for those that know me or they know their sales directors, please reach out to them. We can schedule additional personal one-on-ones. If you don't understand the pricing structure from the POV to the growth to the ultimate plans, please get in contact with your sales directors, because they will be reaching out to you anyway. So that's their responsibilities. But once again, we're delivering value. That's first and foremost to us at NUWAVE. We're delivering value. We're going to prove it. I'm from the great state of Texas, so we say the proof is in the pudding. That's the reason why we have POVs. We're going to show the solution. We believe in the solution, and then we're going to go to production with the product. So I want to stop there real quick. Sergio, brilliant job. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. But I do want to take a moment. I do want to open up the floor, Sergio. I know that there was no questions that came in during the time spent, but I'm just going to keep it open for the next 30 to 45 seconds or a minute. If we have questions, please, you can drop them in the Q&A. You can drop them into the chat. Sergio will have to address them because he's the expert, but I'll do my best. And we can go from there. So. And then we'll just see if anybody has questions. Sergio, you did such a brilliant job. There's probably no questions. That's normally how that works, right?
We honestly we do get that. Also, even when I do a demo, our platform is so intuitive that there's very few questions. But
yeah. Oh, we do have a question. All right. Let's see. I have a question about Q&A doesn't work. Okay. You mean our Q&A doesn't work? Or
I think there's a Q&A option that is available, but I guess maybe just drop it in the chat and we can.
Yeah, you can drop it in the. Oh, it's not opening up. Correct. I can't open. I apologize for that. I'm able to open it up, but if you want to drop just the message into the chat, we will go ahead and Michael, thank you for bringing that to our attention. So I will have my marketing department look into the Q&A functionality. So let's do this. I'm going to create a post. And I'm going to do a test message here, and I'm going to ask, and mine did go through. So I don't know if that opened up the Q&A for everybody. But if not, if we do have questions, please drop them into the chat, and we can address those as well, guys. We do have a couple people chatting or typing, Sergio, so we'll bear with them for a minute.
Yeah.
If they're like me, I'm typing with 2 fingers. All right. So Michael delivers a question here. Thank you, Michael. Is there a web portal for ClerkChat versus in Teams?
Indeed, yeah. Clerk.chat. You can log in, sign up, or log in that way. That is our kind of our flagship app because it's our web app. Yeah, and then there's the Teams, WebEx, and then we have mobile apps as well.
Thank you. Michael, hopefully that answered your question. And thank you for that question. We got a thumbs up, so that was good. We have Lily about to ask a question here in a minute. And once again, guys, don't be shy. If you have questions, let's address them, even though your reps will be reaching out, your sales directors. But all right, so what type of reporting is available?
For the messaging side, I guess it depends on, let's see. Oh, yeah. So the messaging side, you have the calls that are made, you have the SMS messages that are made, and you have campaign analytics. So you have, pretty in-depth analytics in terms of what was sent, through what time frames, and and then you can also export raw logs as well. So any messages that get sent through our platform through any numbers, you can export that, put it into your own reporting system, and kind of run analytics against that. But we do provide native analytics in the platform as well for the call, messaging, and campaign experiences. That's on the telephony side. On the AI side, we have performance analytics in terms of, again, also just volume, how calls go, conversion rates on how the calls interact, and then the sentiment analytics that I mentioned earlier. So lots of analytics.
And there was additional question that I'd add to that, and this is going to be wrapped more around NUWAVE. But Lily, to your point, yes, when we're dealing with the new capabilities of ClerkChat when it comes to RCS and AI capabilities, we will have to enhance the marketplace adoption, or not adoption, but product enhancement. But yes, you will, anything that you work with us on alliance partnerships, especially ClerkChat, you will be coming through NUWAVE based on our partnership agreements that we have in place with you through distribution, TSD, agent, reseller, or APP partnerships. So Lily, you can work directly with your sales director and we will get that taken care of for you. But that's a great question and thank you for that. It might not be available in iPILOT as a module right now or an add-on to the existing module, but we are building that out and in talks with ClerkChat's engineering. Smart guys unlike myself. So, all right, we got a couple questions here. Thanks. Great here. You are more than welcome. Thank you for the question. Any info on backing up chats or retention policies? Think of the log clients, tax preparation, and so forth. So
yeah. So in terms of storage, archival, for compliance purposes, that is heavy on in terms of, we have a lot of health customers, so we're HIPAA compliant, and we have a lot of finance customers, so there's a lot of archival compliance there as well. So obviously there's the API foundationally, but we have, I think, 5 or 6, let me go back to my slide here, archival integrations, like native integrations, Smarsh, Global Relay, Azure, and Purview. Those are the native ones. But again, at any point, we have also customers using our API for, bring it into their own systems or what have you. I think, did I answer that question fully? Was something else there? Yeah.
Perfect. Great question, Michael. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, super important. Yeah.
Right. That was a good one. All right. We have something Lily typing again. Hey, we're making people thank yours. I like it.
Yeah,
right, Sergio?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. All right. Regarding voice AI, does NUWAVE and ClerkChat need to build a connection to play announcement?
To play announcement.
Play announcement.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure of the building of the connection to play announcement because the AI is coming through the aspect of the ClerkChat, which we're just enabling on the tenant side of things through the iPILOT. But yeah, Lily, if you don't mind, maybe we can elaborate a little bit more on that. Maybe I'm not understanding the question. Not about announcement. It is a play audio file.
I mean, I think the answer, I think I might understand that question, but I would say the solution to that is going to be our AI agents, right? So in terms of how we can integrate with NUWAVE to create that logic
Yeah.
where something triggers kind of an audio file wherever it needs to happen. That'd be my vague answer to that question, but I'd kind of be interested in the use case to be able to say more there.
Yeah, and that is a great question. So what I'm going to do, guys, and everybody that's on the call, I will do my due diligence on NUWAVE side, Lily, for us, and I will confirm with our engineers in the product side of the house, and we will get that answer and have your sales director reach out and provide you an update on that. I did make note of that question. Yes, most definitely engineering. You don't want I bring no value to that conversation, Lily. So.
Yeah.
But
Thank you,
I will
Lily.
definitely identify that for us, and I'll have your sales director reach out and address that for you. But that's a great question as well. Thank you. All right. We'll give it a couple more minutes or a minute or so, and if there's no additional questions, we'll let people get back to their day. Okay. How difficult is a customer experience? Okay.
Yeah, it really depends. Obviously, the more the better in terms of the knowledge you're able to provide to some degree. You also want to keep it within scope, right? We found that like if you're not intentional about what you provide and you just kind of provide too much, then the AI might kind of give information or go in direction you may not necessarily want it to. So you do want to be intentional about what you provide. But to answer your question directly, the more the better, as you can imagine. It's just a matter of how much you're willing to provide, and then how much you're able to provide, and then the kind of the resources you have to pull that stuff together. But we find usually a lot of these folks have these things in place, whether it's like these playbooks that they have in place, or point the AI to the various websites URLs that can scrub your website and gather information that way. So it's generally not too difficult at all. Yeah, I'll stop there.
Perfect. All right. And I like these questions. And then I had to do my due diligence on behalf of one of our sales directors. So Lily, based on the announcements and so forth, Mr. Jason Shepard will be reaching out and providing you the update from NUWAVE. So, yeah, Jason sent me, hey.
That was fast. It's Jason.
Yeah, he's actually we're out here in IT Expo this week, and Mr. Shepard's with me this week, so we're attending this. We both head back tomorrow. So
that's Shep. I remember you saying something about Shep.
Shep, right? Yeah, Shep. Yeah, I call him Shep. Well, I get Jason and Justin mixed up. I call them one the other and the other, so now I have to come nicknames with everybody. So.
Nice.
All right. Do you offer a free trial if we want to create our own knowledge base set?
We do offer a free trial. Well, not a free trial per se, but if you're an existing customer, you can already use SMS, AI for SMS. I think we could potentially work through some sort of trial scenario with voice. Yeah, I mean, it's not something that is out of box, but yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So Sergio, I'll tell you, this is something.
I was going to say really quickly, Travis, just because I see now you're saying demo to the product team. Honestly, I would call our ClerkChat AI voice and have that conversation. That's literally what we use when we demo. When we were going out for investment, we used that and it worked really well. So the number's on the site. Yeah, feel free to give her a call. Her name's Alice.
And yes, and she said, and Lily said that she's already talking to Alice, and it's awesome. So thank you for that feedback.
Nice.
But yeah, Lily, based on your office environment and the partnership we have in place with your organization, Jason will definitely reach out to you. I want to get more in depth in your conversations on that, and so Shep's already sent me a message saying he will reach out. So so I think we're good there. But these are really great questions, guys. Very interactive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have another one here. Perfect. It's kind of like when you send a text message to somebody, you see the three little dots and they go away. You're like, oh, Did I say the right thing? Did I say the wrong thing?
All right, we change your mind.
I have to check out that Q&A with Ricky. I'm not sure why that didn't work. But, no, I'm all set. I'm looking for an engineering talk to walk me through. Awesome. Lily, no, you're more than welcome. And guys, we really appreciate the time today. These are great questions. Sergio, brilliant job as always, man. We truly appreciate the support.
My pleasure.
And like I said, guys, your sales directors will be reaching out. They will be asking additional questions if we need to do one-on-ones. But let's go out and sell some SMS, MMS with AI and with RCS, and let's get some additional revenue in your hands. All right. So once again, from NUWAVE, we truly appreciate your time today. Thanks, guys.
Take care, everyone.
Take care.